Hello everyone, welcome to yet another session of the daily news analysis by SRIRAM'S IAS, where we take up the important articles featuring in the Hindu newspaper and break them down for our understanding from the examination point of view. So let's start our today's discussion by taking up the important articles from the New Delhi edition of the Hindu newspaper, and let's take up our first article for the day. The first important news appears in the form of two important articles. One reads, "Bam! NASA spacecraft crashes into asteroid," and another article linking the same news reads, "The NASA spacecraft asteroid collision." Now both these articles talk about the same event that happened yesterday on September 27th, where a NASA mission, which is known as the DART mission, DART, or what is called as the Double Asteroid Redirection Test. This DART mission by NASA successfully tested its DART mission on a sample asteroid. Now this is a unique test and unique mission that NASA is taking, which is basically to crash asteroids. There are various asteroids which revolve around the solar system. Some are small enough not to cause any damage to Earth, and we often see them crashing into the Earth, and meteor showers are there. But some asteroids are large enough, which are so large that if they collide with the Earth, they can even change the shape of the Earth, and life as we see on Earth can even be altered. One of such events we know happened when the dinosaurs existed, and it is said that a massive asteroid collided with the Earth, which took away all the 75% of the species life of the Earth was hampered at that point. So there is a possibility that there are such asteroids which can collide with Earth, and this is where NASA has made its mission known as the DART mission to take care of these asteroids which can be deflecting with the which can be colliding with the Earth. So what NASA intends to do is to deflect these asteroids from their course, so that these asteroids do not come into the Earth's with Earth's contact. This is the crux of NASA's mission. Now how does it do it? What has happened in this mission? Let's take a look at it. So what is NASA, which asteroid is it that NASA is targeting? So the asteroid which NASA is targeting is known as Dimorphos. This is the asteroid that is targeting, which if we are to take up its size, one can imagine a large football field. The asteroid Dimorphos is as big as a large football field. And how big is this DART mission? So let's say this is the DART spacecraft. It has solar panels with it and the necessary material to go and collide with the asteroid. Of course, it would be at a very high speed, right? More than 20,000, or to be precise 23,760 km/h. At this speed, the DART spacecraft will go and collide with the Dimorphos asteroid, so that it deflects the orbit around which the asteroid is moving. And it is said that this Dimorphos asteroid is moving around in an orbit around a larger asteroid known as Didymos. These are the two asteroids which are in contention with respect to this mission. This is a larger asteroid which is there, which is these two asteroids are around 11 million kilometers away from the Earth. So but they have a trajectory which NASA feels that it can collide with the Earth, which is what it wants to stop. Therefore this larger asteroid around this is revolving in an orbit is the smaller asteroid, which is as large as a football field, which is known as Dimorphos. And NASA's DART mission is to eliminate or deflect this asteroid, not destroy it but just deflect it. So if this is the original orbit of Dimorphos, which is through which it is revolving around the larger satellite, it wants to deflect it to just 1 or 2 degrees to change its orbit to a different path. Now we might feel that just deflecting the orbit to just 1 or 2 degrees, what kind of a difference does it make? But when we have larger distances to travel, just a deflection of 1 or 2 degree itself causes a major change and a massive impact. And this is where NASA feels that if the deflection is successful and if it is taken care of, it won't collide with Earth. So this is the mission. Now what has happened yesterday? So this DART mission, this DART satellite was carried out on a sample asteroid, a different asteroid than Dimorphos, which therefore they are saying that NASA conducted a dress rehearsal on a sample asteroid, and now it will soon make sure that the DART mission is carried out on this Dimorphos asteroid. This is the crux of the mission that NASA is carrying out through its DART satellite. Now the article talks about what exactly is this technology, as to how is it done, and are there any applications of this DART technology wherein we are going and impacting the asteroids. So let's take a look at what other aspects are there. First is we saw the DART mission, which is to collide the DART spacecraft with the asteroid. So what is this launch? What is the technique that is being employed, known as, which we saw, that making the spacecraft collide with the asteroid in a high speed manner. This is known as the kinetic impactor method or the kick method, right? A very simple application of making a small object. The DART spacecraft is as small as, one can say, one part of the article is mentioning that it is a vending machine, a normal vending machine sized spacecraft or an auto rickshaw sized spacecraft. That's how small it is, and it is going to collide with the football stadium sized asteroid called Dimorphos. But this small spacecraft is going to have so much high speed that it will collide with the asteroid and deflect its pace and deflect its trajectory. So this is the method that is used, which would be colliding with the asteroid Dimorphos. This method involves sending one or more large high-speed spacecraft into the path of an approaching near-Earth object. That is what will be done, and this could deflect the asteroid into a different trajectory, steering it away from the Earth's orbital path. That is the use of this kinetic impactor method, which will be used in the DART mission. And what will happen if this thing collides? So there can be a lot of data generated from this exercise. Now one may ask, how will the data be generated? So along with this DART spacecraft, there are two other objects that are accompanying this mission. What is that? One is the spacecraft carries a high resolution imager called the DDMOS Reconnaissance and Asteroid Camera for Optical Navigation, which is shortly called DRACO. This DRACO is nothing but a camera that is going to be accompanied by this mission, so that when this collision happens, real-time high-resolution images can be taken and the much valuable data can be gathered from this exercise. So images from DRACO will be sent to Earth in real time and will help study the impact site and surface of Dimorphos, that is the target asteroid. This DART, apart from this DRACO camera, will also carry a small satellite or a CubeSat. A CubeSat is short for a cube-shaped satellite. So this CubeSat was sent afterwards to accompany the mission, and it will be situated away from the DART satellite. This is named as Licia Cube or Light Italian CubeSat for imaging of asteroids. This satellite belongs to Italy, and it is expected to again capture images of the impact and the impact crater formed as a result of the collision. So these two cameras are also accompanying the mission, so that we can gather important data from this collision. And what will this data help us to do? This data obtained from DART's crash will be compared to the data from various computer simulations run by scientists to ascertain whether this kinetic impact method will remain a viable option in case of an actual threatening asteroid. So we'll be able to test the efficacy of this kick method or kinetic impact method as well, and we'll be getting valuable data with respect to what kind of asteroid it is. If the soil sample is taken back from the asteroid, there will be various studies done on those soil. Majorly every mission that goes into the space, the lunar missions or other asteroid missions, they bring back the soil of that surface. So that can be helpful. So these are all the uses that can happen via this DART mission. So apart from this, the author also feels that where we've used this technology impacting a high speed object into an asteroid to deflect it, this also has other applications. And what other applications is author suggesting is that the author suggests that this technology can be used in space mining. What do we mean by using this technology in space mining? So when we are using such kind of a technology, that is making an object hit hard an asteroid and reaching the surface of the asteroid, there are various precious metals and elements that exist in the surface of those asteroids, such as rare earth metals. So, and these rare earth metals are becoming extremely important for the manufacturing of the new age technology materials such as electric vehicles, solar panels, wind turbines and energy storage devices. So therefore, these rare earth elements such as yttrium, niobium, rhodium, palladium, osmium, iridium and scandium, these are some of the rare earth metals which are available on the surface of the earth, but are said that can be abundantly available on the surface of these asteroids as well. Therefore, since they are short in supply, an asteroid mining is believed that could solve the rare earth supply problem. So the author feels that such kind of technology can also be used for extracting these precious metals out of these asteroid surfaces and other surfaces. So this was our discussion with respect to the DART mission. The points that we need to remember from the prelims point of view is that which organization launched it. NASA launched it, as we saw. What is the nature of this mission and the finer points of it. So with this we finish this article and let's move on to the next article for the day. The next article which appears in the newspaper reads, Government app to capture data on groundwater levels. Now this article appears in the context of launching an app by the government. This is known as the Jal Doot app. Now this app, what is this app going to do? It is going to monitor the groundwater levels across the country, which means that it will have certain parameters which is being developed to monitor the groundwater levels in the country, and it is jointly developed by the Ministry of Rural Development and Panchayati Raj, which means that this app will go into the villages of India to measure the groundwater level. Why does this app become important? Because we are seeing increasing reports of the depleting groundwater levels in the country, right? Where we are seeing at the water table which is there, the groundwater levels are continuously decreasing in the ground, and therefore we need to take care of how much stock of groundwater is remaining and how efficiently and in a sustainable way can we use the groundwater. Therefore this app will be launched. How will it be used? This app will be used across the country to capture the water level of selected 2 to 3 wells in a village. So it will be deployed in every village, and from every village 2 to 3 wells will be selected and groundwater will be monitored from them. Manual monitoring of water levels in open wells will be measured twice in a year. So the time period from which the app will measure the water level is twice in a year. It will happen first from 1st May to 31st May as pre-monsoon water level. So the two time period that are taken is, one monitoring will be done pre-monsoon, that would be done from 1st May to 31st May, which would be the pre-monsoon water level, and from 1st October to 31st October for post-monsoon water level of the same well. This is the mechanism that has been set for the twice monitoring of the water levels in the villages of the country. And those officers who would be measuring this water level would be known as Jal Doots. Officers assigned to measure the water levels should also upload the geo-tagged photographs through the app on every occasion of measurement. This has been done to ensure transparency in this exercise, where those officers who will be monitoring the water levels would be called Jal Doots. They would also be required to attach the geo-tagged, which means that along with the geolocation of these places, they would be required to attach photographs of these wells to depict the pictorial representation of the well as well as the water level that they would be measuring. So that would be the mandate that would be given to the officers, and when data would be generated from all these wells with respect to what is the level of groundwater, this will help in better planning and give the right assessment of the problem of depleting groundwater, right? So this is the importance of the launching of the app, which again the important point that we need to remember is launched by the Ministry of Rural Development and Panchayati Raj. This is the ministry that is launching it. And when it comes to groundwater levels in different states, as the article shows us, these are the 3 states which have seen that the groundwater level in the states have increased. In this, the top states are Tamil Nadu, Karnataka and Telangana. the southern states are showing the levels of increased groundwater level in their wells, whereas those states, the bottom 3 major states where percentage of water wells in the wells have decreased or dipped are countries of Punjab, Rajasthan and Haryana. These states, if one is following the levels and the news on groundwater, is very logical. Punjab is facing a groundwater depletion crisis due to its green revolution. When it occurred in Punjab, the high use of the high yielding variety seeds and high use of water has led to depletion of groundwater in the state of Punjab, and that is why it is currently the highest, one can say the topmost state which faces highest depletion in the groundwater level. So these are the statuses with respect to this particular article, and which talks about groundwater depletion, which is a major topic, and UPSC always focuses on this topic. Now we finish this article over here, and with this let's move on to our next article for the day. The next article which appears in the newspaper reads, permanent membership of the UN Security Council or UNSC is another story. Now this particular article appears in the newspaper because a few days ago also we had a discussion on the G4 nations, right? India along with Brazil, Argentina and South Africa. These were the 4 nations which make up the G4 club, and this club along with India are there at the 77th UN General Assembly meeting that is going on, and on the sidelines of this meeting India is interested in reforming the Security Council, wherein it is of the opinion that along with the permanent 5 members who have a permanent seat in the UN Security Council, we all know about them, they are UK, USA, Russia, France and China. These 5 nations have a permanent seat at the UN Security Council, and they wield tremendous power, which means that any decision that has to be taken on a world issue which is taken at the UN table, basically these 5 nations have the veto power, which means that if any decision they feel they do not want to support, they can exercise their veto and that decision would not be taken. This means that these 5 countries have unsubstantiated amount of power as compared to the other nations, and India wants that this kind of unbalanced situation should not exist, and India also is seeking a place at this permanent seat table where currently 5 nations are existing. Now this article appears in this backdrop and gives its argument as to how seeking a permanent seat in the UN Security Council is not a very easy task for India. It is not going to be so easily possible, and the author is of the harsh opinion at least that it is maybe very bleak chances are there of getting a permanent membership on the UN Security Council. Why is this so? Why is the author feeling that there is a very bleak chance or a very slim chance of India getting a permanent membership at the UN Security Council? Let's look at author's reasons why he is suggesting so. Now we saw that India is pushing for permanent seat at the UN Security Council. What is happening is that why India and other nations, along with India, the other G4 nations are also interested in gaining a permanent seat at the UN Security Council, but no P5 country wants to accommodate others. Why would any country that has the highest power at the world stage would want to share this power? That is why these P5 countries who have the unrestricted power of veto, which gives them the power to deflect any issue that they want. So if these 5 countries are there, US has used its veto close to more than 40 times whenever the Israel-Palestine issue has been discussed in the council. So if US wants to further its interest and wants to support Israel, it uses its power of veto. Russia has used the power of veto most number of times. Even China used its power of veto against India when India wanted to enlist a particular individual as a terrorist and enter him into the blacklist of terrorists. That China did not let India do. So every country which is there in this P5 position, the permanent 5 position, is using its power of veto and it does not want to share it. And even if there are some countries which are of the opinion that such permanent members should be increased, there are some members of this P5 which support that cause and there are some which oppose this cause. We saw it in the other day, wherein if India is supported by other nations such as USA, UK, it is not supported by China. If Brazil wants to enter, it is not being supported by some other country. If Japan wants to enter into the P5, China is opposing Japan. So any country which is able to muster support from 2 to 3 nations, one of this nation from the P5 is not with them, and they exercise their veto to not let them participate in this permanent seat at the UN Security Council. So this is the deadlock which is appearing, where no nation is able to penetrate through this. And this particular system of unbalanced power was created at the first place at the whims and fancies of these permanent 5 nations, where UK and US said that either there would be the right to veto and permanent membership, or there wouldn't be any United Nations at all. And therefore, countries at that point of time thought that it's at least better to have a bad or a ill-functioning United Nations than not having a United Nations at all. That is the reason why such unbalanced distribution of power exists in the United Nations. So this is the current scenario where the deadlock is happening. Now the author suggests that, is there any way to change the membership of the United Security Council? The way to change is mentioned in the UN Charter, which mentions that, the Charter mentions that it involves consent of 2/3 of the total membership of the UN. So a resolution would be passed in the UN which should be supported by 2/3 of the membership, including the concurring votes of the P5. So here again, the means to change the charter also lies with the P5 itself, wherein the P5 need to give its consent. And again, even if any one member country from this P5 gives a veto and says that it does not want to support the resolution, that resolution will go down and it won't be passed. Therefore, this means that each of the 5 has a veto. And because of this procedure, the charter has been amended only once in the 1960s to enlarge the council by additional non-permanent seats. So only thing the UN has done is to enlarge the non-permanent seats, but it has not touched the permanent seats at all. This is why the author feels that the chances of India getting into the permanent membership of the United Security Council is very slim. They are very bleak, because the powers that are there with the permanent 5 are so huge that even causing an amendment to the UN Charter, the veto can be applied against that resolution. So this is the reason that the author gives. But there is an alternative which the author suggests as well. It might be a lesser version of the permanent membership, but he suggests that a distinguished group of experts have suggested a few years ago that a new category of semi-permanent members should be created, wherein it feels that no member country is going to give a permanent membership anytime soon. But if there is a chance of gaining a semi-permanent membership at the UN, what will this semi-permanent membership would be? Countries would be elected for a period of 8 to 10 years and would be eligible for re-election. So their seat would be slightly permanent for 8 to 10 years, but they would not have the right to veto. That is what they will, that is where they will differ, and they would be semi-permanent members. So the author feels that not being a substantial member and being a permanent member, it is better to be in between if you are not getting anything and be a semi-permanent member. There can be takers of this argument or opposers of this argument saying that this still dilutes the position, but this is what the author is suggesting, that to further India's interest, because there are a lot of interests which have to be delicately dealt with at the world stage, right? Like the Russia-Ukraine issue is being dealt right now. So these bilateral issues or the country's internal issues, they can be very well reflected on the UN stage, and therefore much clout is required in dealing these issues at the UN stage. And that is why the author feels that any kind of a position which is substantially better than the current one can be good for India. This is what the author feels, and this is what was our discussion was with respect to the permanent seat and the debacle around it for India and other nations at the UN Security Council. So we finish our lecture here today, and we'll meet again tomorrow with the important articles from the newspaper. Thank you.